Hello there Internet, and welcome to Geeky Ent. And on this episode we are going to be reviewing, I've already unboxed the figures, but we're going to be reviewing the Hyperreal Star Wars Black Series 2 figures from Hasbro. And these are the two only figures that are currently released. They are Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Now these figures are crazy poseable in terms of how Hasbro decided to package these up. So you'll see here that the figures have an endoskeleton built in to where they can go ahead and be posed very fluidly. So let me go ahead and show you some package here, and you can see here in the box that the amount of accessories that come in here. You can have nice hand swaps. Vader comes with a force push kind of deco. It's just very crazy how much. It's just a great thing to see how much detail Hasbro put into these figures. Now, these are a little bit more on the pricey end. These do compete more with the Mezco toy line, so these do run around probably like $70 to $80. I did receive these on Amazon not too long ago, just because I was looking for some Star Wars Black Series figures. However, I don't collect the Black Series just because there's too many, and I feel like I'm a little bit late to the game. But let's go ahead here and discuss the first one that was released, or the one that I actually received, was Luke Skywalker. So you can see here I already have him holding the blue lightsaber, and it's a very weird figure to be holding in your hands. And the reason I say that is because the figure itself, the suit, is got a rubber material to it. So when you actually do pose these two figures, you want to go ahead and don't bend them too crazy, because you do have a risk of bending or ripping the rubber material that is the suit. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about articulation first, because that is the high point for these figures. So Luke has his nice head sculpt here, and it's kind of like a little cautious type expression, but the hair, Hasbro did a fine job on the hair. I'm just going to put it that way on that. In terms of the flexibility, you can see that they just pose. It's kind of like one of those, how do I put it? Those artist wooden dolls where you can go ahead and flex them the way that you want to. And you can see I am just doing very small motions and they stay on there. So, I'm sorry, they stay in position. So he does have swivels at the wrist, and I will go ahead and show you how that is changed with his hand accessories. The waist does have a loose belt. This is a plastic mold, but there is a bend here at the waist in the endoskeleton there. He does have full motion at the hips. You can even do a little bit of a split, but I'm kind of careful with this because I don't want that to rip in the nether regions. But the amount of bend he has, it's not like a double knee joint, but that's about as far as he can go on his leg when it comes to bending it there. But the boots have a great amount of detail too. I do have a little bit of a complaint, like I just don't like how these pants are tucked into the boots, but you're always going to find something to nitpick on the figures here. For me, I'm not a big fan of this Luke in terms of just, I don't know, the suit detail. Like, if you haven't actually felt these figures in person, it feels like you're holding kind of like a mushy Stretch Armstrong from back in the day. But in terms of the posability and everything, I absolutely love it. So let's go ahead and talk about the accessories here for Luke. So I went ahead and just put it in a plastic baggie just because there are so many hand swaps for him. But the first things first is that this is the head sculpt. I believe this is the alternate head sculpt, and you can see he's got kind of like a concerned looking face, same hair sculpt, a little bit different. He's got the comb over versus the actual traditional Luke, but same head sculpt, different stuff. In terms of the Black Series, it's very difficult to get a true likeness to Mark Hamill. I don't know why it's so difficult for these companies to get a true likeness, but if you were to see this figure on a shelf or anywhere, you would clearly tell that's Luke Skywalker, especially when he's holding his lightsaber. The hilt by itself, or you can go ahead and have it illuminated with the lightsaber. Now I'm trying to get the camera to focus here on the lightsaber so you can see the amount of detail that's within the lightsaber. It's pretty super cool. I apologize if it's not the best quality. Geeky Ent is still kind of a startup project, but we are slowly rolling things out for the better. So that is the lightsaber for Luke. We already discussed the head sculpt, and here is just the amount of hands. He comes with, I believe, 10 different hands, 10 different poses for the hands. And to swap these out, it's extremely easy. It's a small little peg, and they just pop right into place. Just like so, if I can get it. Now these aren't the easiest ones to place back and forth, just because that peg joint in the wrist is extremely fluid. And the one thing too, when you have hyper real figures, they can really pose differently. So I'm going to go ahead and leave Luke here, but just to give you guys a size scale, he does stand at around 7.5 inches in length. So that is the Luke Skywalker figure, and also he does come with the steel grate that's representative, I'm going to say from Empire Strikes Back, back when the big reveal was there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the star of the show, which is Darth Vader. Alright, so here is the Hyperreal Black Series Darth Vader figure. I'm just going to go ahead and start off with the height so you guys can see the comparison there. So he stands at 9 inches, a little tad under 9 inches. So when he's standing up next to Luke, you can see the scale difference on that. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out here and move the camera back so you guys can see that. And it's just a massive difference when it comes to these two when they're next to each other. You can clearly tell that when you see this, this is a great figure in terms of how he looks. He does have a lot of plastic parts, but he does have that same rubber material that Luke had. So I'm going to give you guys a nice close-up of Mr. Anakin Skywalker here. So you can see the amount of detail within the helmet. He doesn't have any red tint in his eyes. And one thing I noticed is that this is kind of his chain. So it's kind of a letdown that he doesn't have that silver chain right here. But that's because we're getting more in terms of everything else. His cape and his cloth material does feel like a high quality fabric, and it's just really flows real nicely. When it comes to the back, it drapes down real nicely so where you can go ahead and spread it around or anything like that. In terms of articulation, he does have plastic shoulder guards right there, but he does have a bend at the waist or torso. He does have that hyper endoskeleton and it feels just like a skeleton. Now, the difference here between Luke and Vader is that when you turn his wrist, you can see that his that rubber outfit does turn. So it's a little bit more difficult to switch out his arms when it comes to the hand swaps, but you know, you got to live with that. So that's basically what you get. There's trade-offs when it comes to figures. You either get, you know, posability or cosmetic looks. doesn't make a difference. There's always going to be something you'll find wrong with a figure or not. So in terms of his chest plate, he does have very great paint applications all along here. In terms of the legs, the lower torso, you can see he's got the hard plastic shin guards, and then he's got a soft plastic boots with the rubber material on his legs. Now in terms of articulations down below the waist, he's got about range right there, slightly below 90, but he can extend his leg up there, and he can move and bend his ankle right there as well. So let's go ahead and fix that up. So let's talk about the accessories that Vader comes with, and the first one that he comes with out of the box is the lightsaber. Now this was attached in the package. So let's go ahead and get a close-up here of this hilt. There is a lot of detail within the hilt. There's paint, there's red dots. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but translucent red saber effect there. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the accessories. Now Vader does come with a fewer amount of hands. We have 7 hands right here, and he's got 2 up there. And the reason why he's got an odd number of hands is because he has one special hand that's got a peg, and that's made for this accessory piece right here, which is, it looks like ice on camera, but it's a very clearish blue accessory piece, to where he's going to be basically mimicking a force push or a force block on that. And I'll go ahead and show you how that's swapped out. So this is on the right hand, and for Vader, he's got the same mechanism where you go ahead and pop it out. He does have a bigger ball joint or wrist joint at his wrist compared to Luke, which is like half the size. So go ahead and pop in the arm there, and it pops in with a nice little pop sound. So you can see when I articulate his hand, the lines rotate right here on this area. So the whole point of this piece is to go ahead and show that he is one badass, and he can go ahead and block whatever it is he's blocking with the force. Now I'm going to go ahead and show off his hands, because he does have more detail and more depictions of Vader compared to Luke, who just has different hand grips. So the first couple ones here, we have a hand point for his right arm. We have the classic force choke for his right arm. We have a grip hand for his right. We have a feel the force hand, I guess, for his left. We have a closed fist for his left. We have a classic point hand for his left. And of course, he's also got the grip hand on his left arm right there. So that is Vader. And Vader also comes with, I forgot to mention, the other steel grate, so you can go ahead and have a nice little display. On the back is just a gray plastic piece. So would I recommend these figures for fans? It depends. If you're a diehard Star Wars fan like I am, there are more different manufacturers and companies that do have higher end Star Wars figures. But when it comes to Hasbro, you know, this is their first time trying to make a higher end figure that's in the Black Series line that's more catered to the high end collector. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, Mezco, Diamond Select, Super 7, all those companies do make higher end figures. And like I said, at the $70 to $80 price point, these are more for the collect. If you're a Star Wars fan, I do like them. As far as further releases or future releases for the Hyperreal series, I haven't heard anything in terms of what they're doing. These are the only 2 figures that are currently out on the market. But these were released all within the last 8 months or so. Luke, I forget which one came out first. Drop a comment below to say if Vader or Luke came out first. If you're a Darth Vader fan, this Darth Vader figure itself is worth the money. The Luke, you can see the differences and stuff, but he does pair well with Vader next to him, so it's up to you. But if it was me, Yeah, I think they're worth it just because they look great on the shelf and they're inexpensive in terms of the higher end Sideshow Hot Toys line. So I do recommend them. If you guys have these figures, go ahead and drop a comment below and tell us your opinion on them. If you are not subscribed to Geeky Ent, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and until then, my friends, don't forget to geek out, and we'll see you on the next video. Have fun.